A routine Thursday evening was about to become unusual. My wife Joyce and I were cooking dinner. She chopped an onion as I sliced cheese and ham for our omelets. I stopped when she said something. "David, we've been honest for over 7 years, right?" she asked. I halted and dropped the knife. "Yes, we have. Our relationship started with honesty before we got married." Joyce looked at me intently. "I met someone," she said. I was shocked. "Someone you met? You mean what?" I requested. Though I feared I knew. "A coworker. Really lovely guy. Joyce, I've been eating lunch with him." My stomach nodded. "Is there more? Do you like him? Maybe even a lot?" I requested. She turned aside, guilty, and nodded gently. I lost my appetite and felt unwell. We had to discuss it. I supported myself with both hands on the table after dropping the knife. "How far have you come with him?" She sensed my tension in my voice. She retreated against the counter. "We've had lunch every day for weeks, and last week we had supper due of your late business meeting." "Have you kissed, held hands, or done more?" She paled and nodded again. "We kissed." I almost choked on the sour taste. Was there more than a kiss? Her head shook as she looked at me. "Not yet." I took a chair and sat down. "You're considering?" She nodded stiffly. "I guess so." "He wants a weekend getaway with me." "Are you going?" "Yes. I don't want to hurt you, but I need to understand him. I'm sorry, David. I detest this, but I promised him I'd go. I couldn't leave without telling you. Never have we lied to each other." "Where are you going?" "Las Vegas." "Roommates, I suppose." "A suite is reserved," he says. "Big spender. His opinion of me is high. He does, no doubt. When you leave? Tomorrow, Wow. You informed me last minute, huh?" I waited to say something because I wanted to be sure I was serious before hurting you. That made me choked sob instead of laughing. "You were considerate." "Joyce, does he know you're married?" "Yes, of course. I always wear wedding rings. Please don't wear them in his Las Vegas bed. When with David, I talk about you often. I'm sure you've told him I'm a lovely guy like him. Maybe you've also seen that I'm dull in bed, a poor provider, and left toenail clippings on the carpet, among other things that turned you off. I've never criticized you. David knows I love you. But evidently not enough to prevent you from spending the weekend with him. Maybe you love me but not in love. Is that it?" "No, I've no idea. I'm confused. In the arms of this wonderful man who knows you're married, you seek clarity, doesn't care. A couple days and nights in Vegas with him to assess your feelings for us. Was this nice person checked for STDs recently? He's different. David, he's been single for nearly 2 years. That's his claim. But he's probably lying. A hunter sees a lovely married woman and wants to conquer her. Real game for people like him. Steal a lovely married woman and cuckold her husband. You may discover that Vegas events spread if he hasn't been tested. It could follow you home in a worst way. This nice guy your boss? He's my boss's boss. You're truly rising? Bodybuilding instead of talent and hard effort to climb the business ladder. Unsure of my actions. David, I want to know. Your crass approach isn't helping. I'm not fit to help you escape to Vegas with another man for a weekend. Joyce, a question. Will you stay if I ask you not to go, kneel, and beg?" She looked down at the floor and shook her head. "I can't. David, I promised Frank I'd go with him, and I can't break my word. At least now I knew his name." "Wow, I see. You can easily break the vows you made to me 7 years ago, but you can't break your promise to Frank. Is that it?" "I'm sorry, David. I don't want to hurt you, but I have to do this for me. Please try to understand I was aware at the time of my misery and pain, I thought. A final shot that wouldn't change your thoughts but would make her consider her actions on us." I rose and faced the basement door. "Please wait while I demonstrate, so you can prepare for your journey. I'll leave you." I found my Halloween prop in the basement. After opening our wall safe, I took a piece of paper, a hammer, and nails and returned to the kitchen. Joyce was confused when I carried a tiny wooden coffin used for Halloween decorations up the stairs. "What's happening?" she asked. "Please be patient. I want to show you something before we break up after so long." I placed the 3-foot wooden coffin on the kitchen table and put my sandwich ingredients on the floor. A coffin. Cheap Halloween prop, but still a coffin. Here's the lid, and here's a hammer. And some nails. Her expression turned uneasy as I showed her the hammer. "And this," I said, holding up the paper I retrieved from the wall safe, "is our marriage license." I opened the lid of the coffin, placed our wedding license inside, and closed it. "David, what in the world are you doing?" "Put our marriage license back where you found it," Joyce said, her voice rising in alarm. "Why, Joyce, it doesn't hold any significance anymore. It belongs here, inside the coffin, ready for its burial." She started tearing up. "You talking about David? It proves our marriage. I stated that won't be true until you leave that door to be with Frank tomorrow. Now she was panicking. David, you don't know. Don't know. Yes, Joyce, I know. You can flee with Frank. Personally, I chose divorce. I halted. Our marriage license belongs in this coffin. Joyce jumped when I thudded a nail through the coffin lid. The first nail. I responded, placing another nail to a corner, symbolizing your lunches and dinners with Frank. Now the second. I continued, representing the passionate kisses you experienced with him, while her mouth quivered. My third nail went into another corner. The nail indicates your agreement to leave Frank. Very nice, man. Weekend in Vegas, I said, holding and placing the last nail at the coffin's last corner. I drove it into the wood with one solid hit. The fourth nail. Joyce, you know the saying. Final death blow. It forever seals the fate of whatever is inside. That coffin holds our marriage. Joyce. That final nail will end our life irrevocably when you leave for Las Vegas with Frank tomorrow morning. You can't mean that, David. You can't discard us for one mistake. I'm not discarding our relationship. You're Joyce. Every fiber of my existence loves you. You're the most gorgeous, captivating lady I've ever met, and being your wife for 7 years has been a privilege. I'm not ending this, if I could. I'd enter that coffin with our marriage certificate and be buried. If I checked your suitcase, would I find lingerie and maybe a negligee you bought for this occasion? Joyce didn't respond, but her tears and demeanor screamed everything. I thought so. I'm leaving. Don't let me see your final treachery. After you go with Frank, I'll get everything I need for 2 weeks. In Vegas, you'll probably be too preoccupied with Frank to notice anything else. Consider what items in the house you wish to keep. Not here when you return, but my lawyer will call you in a week or two. I grabbed my jacket, left, got in my car, and drove away. The worst night of my life left me dead and numb. I didn't care where I was going. I needed to escape. To avoid meeting Frank, I stayed 6 miles from the airport since I couldn't eat. It wasn't important. I may have lost to him. My phone buzzed many times with Joyce's name on the caller ID, but I ignored it. I didn't want her reasons for ending a great marriage. I slept horribly thinking about them together. I was naive to assume I could keep her forever. After showering and changing, I headed to the nearest Denny's for coffee and toast the next morning. All I could handle. I kept thinking about Joyce with Frank despite my efforts. I picture my wife, the woman I thought would always be at my side, holding hands with Frank on the plane, kissing him in the taxi, and hurrying through check-in to their hotel. I heard cheating hurts. Yet I had no idea how destructive that might be. I finally contacted my office at 8:30 to tell my assistant I wasn't coming in. I stated I was sick and wanted to be back to normal by Monday. I found Joyce's missed calls and 12 text messages after hanging up. I didn't delete or read them. Calls and messages ended at 7:45. When she went to be with Frank, I believed she stopped attempting to reach me. I never called the man who stole my wife lovely again. He was far off. Retribution was inevitable. I needed timing. To be safe, I went home around 10:30 to get what I needed for my new life as a single man. Joyce's car was gone when I pulled into the driveway and opened the garage door. Reality hit me hard. She presumably took it to meet Frank instead of a cab. I chastised myself for considering she might have stayed home. Get real, friend, I lamented. She dumped you. A better offer was found. Some guy may take her to Las Vegas and pamper her with luxury hotels. Wake up and proceed. She may not be as beautiful, but you'll find someone. Deep down, I doubted my words. The place seemed very quiet when I entered, a broken heart clouding it. It was once warm and vibrant, but now it was chilly and empty. I saw the cheese and ham on the floor were gone as I walked through the kitchen. The casket was gone from the table. My attempt to persuade Joyce had failed, as it was likely thrown away. Lust may seriously impair. Judgment, I remembered. I pushed open the master bedroom door after climbing the stairs. The coffin was half open on the bed, with a crowbar nearby. Joyce had probably worked hard to loosen some of those nails. Out of curiosity, I located my buried marriage license between the 2 pillows at the head of the bed. Apparently she didn't want to give me that triumph, I mumbled. I grabbed underpants and socks from the dresser. On the table beside the window were 3 pairs of costly, beautifully designed women's underwear torn to shreds and a ribboned yellow negligee. Black marker words were on a paper on top. I cannot share without ownership. What the heck? My voice rang out. A similar message was leaned against the coffin when I returned to the bed. I cannot share without ownership. Same message, black ink. Tires screeched as 2 cars crashed outside. Then the front door opened. Where are you? God, please arrive. David, please come so I can tell you I was wrong. How foolishly incorrect I was. A woman yelled. I heard footsteps race to the stairs, then stumbling and falling halfway up. She was crying uncontrollably and crawled toward me when she saw me at the top of the landing. 2 years of dating preceded their 7-year marriage. I'd never seen her like that. She was makeupless. Her hair was messy. She had red, puffy eyes and a Caltech sweater. I joked about giving her plush bunny slippers for Christmas. "Joyce, what's up? Where's Frank?" I requested. "I can't give away what's not mine." She shook her head furiously. "I told David that." "Told whom?" I requested. "Frank, I told him that when he picked me up. It's not mine to give away. I dressed this way. I was questioned why I wasn't ready to go to Las Vegas with him. Again. I couldn't give up what wasn't mine. What the hell does that mean? I told him I couldn't travel with him. Would never accompany him. Would never speak to him again because I'm not his. I will never share my body with anyone other than my hubby." She slowly crept up the stairs toward me. He addressed me as David. "I was a pest," he added, wasting his money on airfare and a suite. He called me a slut and threatened to fire me at work. I quit, so he couldn't fire me. His tires squealed for a block as he sped away, angry. She hugged my legs and ankles when she reached the landing. "I'm ashamed," she cried. "I hurt the only person who consistently loved me. Would somebody help me?" I let my everything to me boyfriend down. "Sorry, so sorry." Then she cried. She held me for what felt like an eternity, but was actually only a few minutes. Unable to move, I was dumbfounded. My heart was broken by the lady I loved, the center of my existence, whom I worshipped. Half a day later, she was crying on my legs. Every part of me wanted to hold her, tell her how much I loved her, and promise to help her through this tough time. Freezing. I can't move. I recalled the preceding 15 hours, but I thought she hadn't consummated her connection with Frank. Still feeling betrayed. A married woman doesn't go on romantic dates, kiss passionately, or go to Las Vegas with another man. She recovered before irreparable injury, but the treachery hurt. I stared at the woman who was my universe until last night. She clearly suffered as much as I did. I questioned if I had the strength to keep our marriage from falling into a dark abyss. I brought Joyce to her feet and hugged until her sobs stopped. "Let's make new coffee," I said. "Thank you, David." "Oh, David," she whispered. "When I pulled into the driveway, I may have damaged your automobile." "Yes, I heard." "We'll address that," I told her. She came downstairs and into the kitchen with my help. As we drank coffee, I said, "What changed your mind? You seemed to want Frank last night. What happened?" With red, puffy eyes, she gazed at me over her cup. "You buried our marriage." "You mean what?" I requested. "You sealed our marriage license in that casket. I packed upstairs after you left." But my mind kept going back to our marriage license in the dark. I felt like you were burying our marriage. It was trapped without air, light, or escape. I then considered all the blessings our marriage had brought us. It meant everything to me. I remembered how happy you made me while we were together. She said she must have drifted asleep since I dreamed I was suffocating in that casket in the dark. It was real enough to wake me up, and I realized I had to open that coffin and save our marriage. Breathe again. Breathe again. She laughed softly. I never noticed how skillfully you hid tools. I spent at least an hour finding a crowbar and another 30 minutes hauling the coffin to the bedroom and prying the lid open to collect our license. I felt possessed and had to get it before you closed the coffin. When did you reject Frank? She laughed again, warming my heart. 2 seconds after you departed, I realized I could never leave Frank or anyone else. I felt stupid and ashamed. How could I treat my only love like I did you? I called you repeatedly but got no response. I tried texting, but that failed too. After I opened the coffin lid, I thought about telling Frank I never wanted to see him again. I removed my makeup and wore your old Caltech sweatshirt and jeans. My tears had made my eyes red and swollen, and I wondered if Frank would see the real me you always see and love. The most beautiful woman I've met is you. You still seem amazing to me. When I learned that, I knew I had to do everything I could to get you back. To make you love me again, I hadn't packed much. I broke down again when I saw the lingerie I bought for Frank's vacation as I unpacked. Just seeing them made me nauseous. My treason ended with them, so I had to destroy them. Using scissors, I ripped them apart. Though expensive, I couldn't bear to look at them. Like I thought I ruined you and our marriage, I destroyed them. I took our marriage license from where I stored it to look at it. Very simple. Joyce Russell married David Campbell on June 12, 2005. Your best man and maid of honor saw it. Reading brought back memories. We swore to stay together till death in front of our family and friends. I cried again, understanding I needed just you. I told Frank I couldn't share what I didn't own when he picked me up. Thank you for sharing. You've made me think. Are we going to survive? Joyce asks. Not sure. Joyce, I hope so. Right now I'm undecided. You nearly broke me last night. I've never hurt so much. I felt abandoned and powerless. Can you imagine knowing your ideal partner? The one you've always trusted? Picking someone else over you? Her tears returned. David, I'm sorry. I was insane. I'd do anything to fix it. I'd even die if it helps. Dying wouldn't help. More than everything, I want you alive and healthy. I want your trust again. As you stated, we've always been honest, so it won't be too hard. Even after you told me your feelings last night. Joyce. Now what? Not sure about you, but I had trouble sleeping last night. If you agree, I'd prefer you in bed. It may be too soon. Nothing needs to be done. David, I just want to feel you next to me, where only you belong, her dark eyes begged. Okay, but no funny business. Joyce, I'm still upset with you, I said authoritatively. A tiny smile pulled at her lips. Anything you say. Darling, she replied, crossing her heart. She took my arm and led me upstairs to her room. Absolutely no funny business. For a couple of months, things were uncertain. No matter how hard I tried, there were times when that night would haunt me, leaving me in a bad mood. Joyce seemed to notice those times and would shower me with love until she was the only thing on my mind. Eventually, she quit her job. When her boss and HR asked why, she told them about Frank. Though embarrassed, she needed to get it off her chest. Not surprisingly, HR informed her that Frank, the seemingly nice guy, had 3 harassment complaints against him. In short, he lost his job and references. Joyce was allowed to keep her job and even received a substantial sum of money in exchange for not suing the company. She stayed at her job for about 6 months, and during that time, we found out we were going to be parents. Life moves forward. Sometimes you have to give someone a second chance to make things right, even though many people would disagree with me.